Howdy, this is the Furious Nevermind. I'll kill you with my teacup. All right, so what you see here is an email of mine that I got in response from DBC, some broad, right? And the only way I knew she was a broad was by the way she thought. So it was on this Discus comment company or whatever they are, a service. And the conversation or article was America in 2050. Okay. Well, I went on one of my little rant screed things, and I left a bunch of comments. Well, what can I say? Dirty bait brings in the brings in the catfish. So I caught DBC, and this is one of her emails to me, right? Well, comments. So what I'm gonna do before I read this is I'm gonna go and just show you all what some of the stuff I cited, memes I posted, whatever. Okay. So I'm gonna do it backwards. Well, no, actually, no. Go ahead and just do it this way. Because it really doesn't matter ultimately. All right. So the first thing is the last thing, right? Because they cut off comments right after her comment, which is weird, but whatever. So she makes a claim at the end of her comment, and this is what I would have addressed it with, which I've said this lots of times, and I even alluded to it in my original comment by saying it was about the money, right? I'll skip to the good part. Because they were talking about when women leaving men and why do they do it? Well, the reason why they do it is here somewhere. Where'd you go? Did I zoom past it? Okay. It turns out that the amount of money that either the husband or wife makes isn't what's important. What isn't that important? For contemporary couples, the biggest determinant is whether the husband is working full time. Okay? Now, thanks to various laws I've gone into many times, the woman can stop putting out, the man can't do anything about that. But if he stops paying, she can get in with the Duluth model. They have economic coercion, I think it's called, economic abuse, where if you withhold the money, then it's abuse, but withholding sex isn't abuse, so whatever. Contemporary, and I mentioned to her 70% of American, or no, what was it, 69 to 75% of women in America file for divorce. And she was like, well, the reason why is cheating. And I was like, no, it's because of the money. And according to this, it's the money. For contemporary couples, the biggest determinant is whether or not the husband is working full time. Okay? And then she talks about a little bit about socialism. You'll catch up on this in the email. Well, socialism, or Marxism, Marx himself said socialism is a way of getting to communism. The communists themselves will tell you this, and even Vladimir Lenin was actually quoted saying socialism is the road to communism. So all socialists are all communists were really just socialists by their own definition now. They were all just socialists trying to institute full-on, not real communism. That's where you get the that wasn't real communism argument. Or even that's where you get that's not even real socialism, because it's all in shades for them. But look at all these deaths. Millions. 50 million, 30 million, 17 million. I mean, look at that. That's crazy to think that they killed this many people. I mean, I don't know what it is if you add it together, but I know I went to first grade. Ones, tens, hundreds, millions, or 1, 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million. That's a lot of dead people from socialism, okay? So 50, 20, 20, 1, and 1. That's still quite a bit, quite a bit. Okay. Like I said, old Lenin there. The goal of socialism is communism. Language translation, Okay, and you'll see what I mean when I get to reading this chick's email. Bernie was like, oh, we need to be more like Denmark. Denmark, one of these Euro socialist countries. I couldn't find a map that said which country was which, so I didn't bother. But Denmark has a higher middle class income tax, which is crazy because we need the middle class to be strong. Plus which is 30 to 48%. That's crazy high. That's like half your money, right? And then a 25% added value or value added tax. Denmark also charges 180% tax on cars. Really? It's like no wonder they have all these green, carbon friendly. Nobody has a car. So, $20,000 car costs $56,000. Dang. Gasoline is currently $6.50 a gallon. Not cool. To help Denmark's economy, corporate taxes had to be lowered. Can you imagine? To 23.5% compared to a healthy, but not too much, 35% here in America. Oh, and in those countries, those Euro-socialist kind of countries, it's like shameful to be unhappy. So they always top the happiness polls. You could be whipping them with a stick and just making them eat bread and water, and they'd be like, "Oh, super happy, yes, very happy to be here." And it's like, "Oh yeah, you are, okay." So she mentioned multitasking. Of course, women are like, "Oh, my multitasking," and it's like, yeah. Except men, yes, men are better multitaskers. La 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 la. Let's see here. Blah 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 blah. Okay. So basically, it's a known fact that whereas men in general are superior to women in spattle ability, everybody know that. All right, I've covered that in a previous video. But women also vary throughout their cycles, menstrual cycles, with gender differences greatest during the luteal phase and almost insignificant in the menstrual phase. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Individual differences, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. No, I'll go ahead and read that. Individual differences in spattle ability contributed to multitasking performance regardless of gender, and in fact, individual differences in both spattle ability and multitasking fluctuated through the women's menstrual cycle. Men remain the same. That is, men are far superior multitaskers. Far superior multitaskers. I'll say it again. When women were in their luteal phase. But this gender difference pretty much disappeared, but it didn't entirely disappear. Advantage, ours, when women entered their menstrual phase. Long story short, every study saying that men were worse multitaskers than women had women in their menstrual phase and generally low testosterone, fat guys. They were doctored. Okay. Any guy who's been around women and seen them going because they don't know what to do next, it knows what that's all about. Gender difference in math. She mentioned intelligence. Well, and I was like IQ test, and she was like, oh, emotional intelligence. Gender differences in math. Big surprise. Nonetheless, the lower performance of women in problem solving that is evident in high school requires attention. Even more attention. Why does it require attention? Because the female teachers don't like it. That's why. The girls don't like the truth. So, but they're obviously score lower. Everybody know that. Meta-analysis of sex differences in physical ability. She tried to argue that men are not stronger than women. Really? Where is it? However, training reduced the male-female difference on muscular strength test only modestly and actually increased male-female differences on cardiovascular endurance. Basically, I skipped one. Finally, we found that training led to greater increase in performance for women than for men in both muscular strength and cardiovascular, blah, blah, blah. I must have skipped the part where it says men have better cardio. Okay, there it is. Findings reveal that males score substantially better on muscular strength and cardiovascular endurance tests, but there is no meaningful sex difference on movement quality tests. Substantially better on muscular strength and cardiovascular endurance. Okay, sweetheart, Men are stronger and smarter than women. Deal with it. More about Denmark. 50% income tax, 180% car tax. We have here in America 20% higher income per capita. Beer in Denmark costs 75% more. Homes are smaller and more expensive, etc. And you'll see why I'm harping on that here in a second, because I'm about to read her comment. Behavioral development and economics. She tried to argue, like I say, women are not responsible for the fertility declines in the West. And I'm like, yeah, they are. Effect of women, education and employment on fertility rate. Here we have a chart. Number of children in the green, years of education in the red. If you'll notice, in the green, number of children, and in the red, Niger, Afghanistan, we're looking good. We're looking, hey, wait a second. What is this? United States, really? You got all that education in between basically no kids, and you got these retards up here, boat tons of kids. Really great. And that proves her wrong just in one chart. You don't even have to be a rocket scientist. I could just get a chart and say, nope, look, you are wrong. Because men, and I also covered how men have like 3 contraceptive types and women have like 103. That's not too much of an exaggeration. I went over exactly how many, but the fact of the matter is, this is what we're dealing with, okay? This is what we're dealing with. You got your women's and your commies, and they're the same people. And she was a smart girl or whatever. I'm going to troll this to her. She was a smart girl for a girl, but the point of the matter is this. She's still ideologically thick as a brick. It was like socialism is an ant. Okay, well, I forgot. I got to read the comment. Okay, so I'll just smash through. My dove, listen well to me. This is me talking. IQ tests show men to be more intelligent. Her. Psychologists, who are mostly women, can't even agree on what intelligence is. Women are better at some aspects of it. Others, they've closed the gap. See the Flynn effect? It's not closed. It's just closing very, very slowly. Which wasn't all that great to begin with. Excuse me, at the top IQs in the world, that's an entire standard deviation that men have, okay? So yeah, it is all that great, sweetness. If you think men are being 5% more intelligent is somehow leading to all the discoveries in history, she acknowledges we make virtually all discoveries in history, because I went to inventions and stuff, then you are mistaken about statistics and intelligence. Well, you were assuming that that's what I think, when it's not. I think that it's a large contributor, but it does not account for all of them. She goes right out and says why I think that. What else I think contributed. I said, simple observation and their own admission holds them to be lazier, meaning women. She says, because, see, you're lazy and dumber and weaker. That pretty much, plus they have the babies. All of that together makes perfect sense why they do nothing. This observation, okay, so I already said that. She says this is meaningless bigotry. Oh, really? I even said, by their own admission, women have told me I am lazy to try. I dropped out of school. Why? Lazy. Boyfriend. And she says, and I noticed after citing sources out the wazoo, you suddenly dry up on this. I know, because you're getting little sprinkle studies, and I've got a whole sandbar full of longitudinal studies and meta-analysis, and you're just like, nope, no, there's this little exception over here. That's the rule. And it's like, what? And of course, men oppressed women for thousands of years, so of course they didn't invent anything. It's like, are you serious? And then she takes a snippet of one of my sentences of being factually accurate. No context, thank you. And then she says, except you aren't see above. What above? Do you guys see anything that says that I'm wrong? Do you see it? She acknowledges, I'm a bigot. I suddenly dry up. Drying up being a bigot isn't being wrong, honey darling. So, once again, men are better than women at multitasking, from what I just read about that. because women suck in their luteal phase and they're okay in their menstrual phase, but we still beat them. And then she says, nah, you got one study, one meta-analysis covering hundreds of studies. And then she says, there are several showing the opposite. Yeah, and I click these, and they're small studies, and they're very specially maneuvered, doctored up. And then she only could find 2 of them. It's like, how often has, like, anecdotal experience doesn't even register. It's like, as a woman, I know I keep up with the men, even though I do half as much. It's like, okay. But as a man, it's plainly obvious that he's moving bricks and she's over there sleeping, so to speak. And when I say bricks, I don't mean drugs. I mean like boxes or literal bricks, So we do have a socialist problem. Me, her. It's not a problem, it's a solution. Really? Do you want to be Denmark? Of course she does, because free stuff, yay! Be my husband, Uncle Daddy Government, please. Except for, why won't you get me preggers? 40% of American women from the Gen X generation are childless. Okay? Do you think that number's going to go up or down? We got too much socialism anyway. See my rants on affirmative action for all but Caucasian men and selective service registry for only men. Okay, there's your source. And then I said something about you would talk down to me, because I was like, okay, well, I'll just keep reading. She says, of course I do, dear. You haven't shown me anything to indicate I shouldn't yet. Shouldn't talk down to me? Oh, well, excuse me for having a big floppy one. I want only to have a level playing field in fighting for my own life. And she says, that's exactly what affirmative action is. Oh yeah, institutional discrimination against me, that's a level playing field. It's the exact opposite of a level playing field. A level playing field is no rules for anybody and everybody fights it out, which is what I want. But you want me, the faster racer, to be tripped up or have a crack put in my leg to make you the fat slow racer as a race and gender to be able to catch up. And it's like, that's not equality, that's tyranny. Okay, sweetheart? Now daddy loves you, but you're being bad and you need the spankings. You're bad. Okay, and so because she's, bad is good, slavery is freedom, war is peace. She's full 1984, and this is almost every woman. So we talk about cheating because she tried to blame it instead of women's hypergamy wanting more money. She tries to blame cheating. Cheating in relationships, I said, is a problem with both sexes. One that I've never engaged in. All right? I hope you guys have your language comprehension on point, because she says, you've never engaged in relationships? Honey, that is a comma, that is a semicolon. All right? That means cheating in relationships is a problem, pause. With both sexes, pause. One that I've never engaged in. You've never engaged in relationships? I can't say that I'm surprised, she says. But your digression is deflection. The issue was your assertion that women were using and leaving men. Now you are arguing there's no predictor or agreed upon cause. Au contraire, because I did at first, which you ignored, and then I will again, I already did in my scroll through. Remember, the primary predicting factor for divorce is whether or not the husband has a full-time job? Well, they cut off comments right after her comment. Go figure. I would be surprised if she's the OP and then just wanted to silence yours truly. But the fact is, there is a cause why women are using and tossing men. Because they can, and because it's profitable. Not because of cheating. Okay? Okay. So, yes, DBC, you are still at pet bunny levels of cuteness. And yes, your cuteness is somewhat diabolical. You're kind of like, Dr. Evil, or like a maniacal pet bunny. Adorable. All right, I'll catch you all in the next one. Later.